So this is Pipo's new 2-in-1, the W1 Pro it's called. Now it's powered by that revised Cherry Trail chipset. So it's the Atom X5 Z8350. It has 4GB of RAM on it. Now the RAM is clocked up to the fastest maximum supported speed, so 1600 megahertz. Often, as of late, I've seen manufacturers opting to lower that to 1066 megahertz, which affects the performance. And good to see that Pipo haven't actually done that here. So this tablet comes with the keyboard dock, and it also comes with an active stylus, which is really good. We don't often see that. Normally manufacturers, they sell the keyboard and the stylus, or the accessories come separate, and you need to pay extra for those. And the keyboard dock is made out of mostly plastic. There's a couple of status LEDs there for caps lock. And also the touchpad, you can disable that and it will illuminate that. Either side we have USB 2.0 ports. And on the bottom it does have an alloy. But it's actually very light, this keyboard. And that's probably because they haven't really used much metal in it at all. So the docking mechanism, which is normally made out of metal, here's a chewy keyboard. You see along here those stays are plastic in this case here. Now hopefully that's going to hold up in the future. But it seems durable enough. But what it does offer is some weight savings. So if I just quickly measure this here, you'll see what I mean. So that weighs 440 grams. And then the metal one, 546 grams. So there's a big difference there. So we're saving around 100 grams. However, being made of mostly plastic does give it a cheaper feeling. Now typing on it, okay. It's 10.1 inches the screen, so we have a limited size here. It's a little cramped, doesn't feel so good. But the actual feel of the keys themselves, they have a nice feedback to them, which isn't bad. I found that typing on this is okay, no problems. But what's missing is one important key that I didn't pick up on the unboxing, and I should have, and that is the delete key, is this lock key, where it would normally be. So you have to use function to then use delete, which I found a little bit annoying, because I often sometimes do that. At least we do have function print screen, and the trackpad, the touchpad is very small, as you can see, and I'd say it's usable. It does the job, but it's not particularly good. It does support double tap gestures, and it does have left and right mouse buttons in there, but I resort to using a mouse, which you can see right here. I have a Logitech receiver in there for my USB mouse. So the tablet feels quite light. It's only 540 grams, and that's probably due to the fact that it has only a 6,000 milliamp hour battery in here. So not the largest. Battery life, you're looking around 4 to 4.5 hours, which isn't particularly good. That's one of the shortest actually I have seen. So not great for battery life. I wouldn't be buying it for the battery. You'd buy it more for maybe the price of it, because it includes the active stylus and the keyboard. And the fact that it is quite lightweight altogether. So the screen is one that people have used quite a few times now. It's 1920 by 1200, so that is 16 by 10 aspect ratio, which I prefer over 16 by 9. Rather large bezels, as you can obviously see, but that does make it a bit more comfortable holding it, that you don't risk accidentally touching the screen. Now the screen glass digitizer on the top, and then the IPS panel below, there is a rather large gap that you can probably make out there. It's approximately 1.5 to 2 millimeters, so it's not the smallest, and that does make a bit of a difference when it comes to reflections and things. It's more susceptible to that. Now it does have a pre-applied screen protector. As you can see, I haven't even taken off the first layer because I don't want the stylus to scratch the screen protector, is why I have left that for now. So on the bottom we have the 5 Pogo port pins to connect up with that dock I just showed you before. And on the left hand side here are all our ports. So we have a slot here for the micro SD card, which I don't particularly like those slots. I'm someone that likes to swap my SD cards in and out all the time, and this I find is a bit of a hassle. But if you're someone that just puts in a 128 gigabyte SD card in there and leaves it, then fine, that's good for you. We have a microphone, 3.5mm headphone jack, micro HDMI out, status LED, which is blue, and then a Type-C port. Now this is USB 3 Type-C. It does support data. It will power external hard drives, and charging via this is rather slow. It takes about 4.5 hours to fully charge the tablet when off. If you try charging it when on, then it's going to take around 7 to 8 hours. So very slow to charge. And here, this tiny little grill, that is actually a speaker grill, believe it or not. Very small one. And then we have plastic power and volume up and down buttons, which give the tablet a little bit of a cheap feel, but they are sturdy and they do the job well. So on the front, there is a 2 megapixel camera right here. 720p, 30 frames per second. Tested it out. I think the quality is actually all right. Not too bad as long as you're in a well-lit environment when you're speaking to someone on Skype or whatever. I did notice that the microphone here is a little on the low side, so you probably want to use a headset, and that way you just plug in into the 3.5mm headphone socket there, and you can use headset with microphone. And on the rear here, we do have a 5 megapixel autofocus camera that takes a very average photo. So the back here, that is made out of an alloy, and along the top here is plastic for the wireless and Bluetooth antenna reception. Now on the right hand side, all we have is another one of those little grills there for the speakers, which I'll demonstrate shortly. So the screen's maximum brightness is good. I measured 400 lumens. Not bad at all. So it's a very bright screen. Now to get 400 lumens, you need to disable the Intel, the power saving technology, display technology option they have enabled. Once you get rid of that, you gain about another 50 lux or so out of that. Now the blacks on here, you can see IPS panel. It looks good to me. Not a bad panel at all, actually, considering the price. Now these are oversaturated colors from the photos, and it's representing them quite well because it was taken with Samsung Galaxy Note 4, which tends to do that. Photo-wise, it always oversaturates the colors. Now you notice that when I do touch the screen, there's a bit of wobble. It's not that sturdy. Actually, it's not docked right down properly, but even so, it does have a little bit of wobble to it when you touch the screen, which can be a little bit annoying there. Now the touch accuracy seems perfectly fine to me. No issues with selecting things on the screen, going to close boxes, or even just minimizing everything down onto the desktop there. No problem. So the screen I'd rate as one of the best features of this tablet. So it has a 64GB eMMC on there, and you get approximately 42 gigabytes free space, and it is running Windows 10 Home, which is fully activated. So Windows activates without any problems when you connect up, and you can also hopefully see there that 4 gigabytes of RAM. We have that full 4 gigabytes allocated to Windows. Nothing's being dedicated to the internal GPU, integrated GPU. So I just put out a couple of things here. With the wireless, we have a Realtek. So it's Realtek Wireless N. I'll show you the speeds of those in just a second. And the drive that it has for storage is a SanDisk. Now I haven't seen SanDisk until just recently, and it's the DF4064 model with reasonably good speeds. I'll show you those. So I just finished running Geekbench 4 and I'll show you the score there. So a single core score of 916 is actually very good for this chipset for an Atom X5 Z8350. Multi-core score, not bad as well. So the wireless speeds that you get out of that adapter, hang on, just enlarge this, out of my wireless N connection, not bad as well. I actually saw them get up to 45, but I didn't save that test result. But around 40, 45 is really all I could get out of it, which is perfectly fine. Now in Edge, performance is very good, very smooth scrolling. Just like any other Atom tablet, Edge performs really well, Chrome doesn't, Firefox is okay, and other minor tasks. So if you want to edit documents, a bit of light Excel work, Word, all perfectly fine on the Atom platform. And here are the internal eMMC speeds. So it's just benchmarking at the moment. You can see the read speed there, 143, writes 64. Let's wait and see what the 4Ks get. Alright, so that just finished up. You can see very good speeds there for an eMMC drive. Of course, that's got nothing on a SATA 3 or a PCIe SSD drive. But this is just a tablet, and the speaker drive they use, that is very good. As you saw in the beginning there, it has two left and right firing speakers. Let's have a listen to how they sound. So as you could hear from that those speakers are very quiet. Their maximum volume, that was 100%, believe it or not, just isn't loud enough. So very disappointing speakers. I wish they were louder. Now you can use some hacks there. Well, not hacks. There are programs you can install to tweak the volume levels up, like DX Audio, I think is one of them. That can help improve things. But really, those speakers should be so much more louder than that. Now the 3.5mm headphone jack, located right here, at least puts out much louder audio. The quality of it is okay. I did notice there is the faintest tiny little bit of static at lower volumes coming through the jack, which is a little disappointing, but it's actually very common to hear that. So audio isn't one of the strengths here of the Pipo W1 Pro. So the box does include the active stylus, which you can see right here. So according to Pipo, it has 120 levels of pressure sensitivity. It takes a quad A battery, two buttons there. So the first button, that's to select in OneNote, for example, right here where I am. So you can use that as the select tool. And then the second button, that is for the erase function. So I'll just get rid of my previous little doodles that I did here. So it works up to the edges of the screen, but not right on the left and right edges, as I'll show you right now. So it'll work up to, work right up to about 2 or 3 millimeters away from the screen there. And as you notice, at times, see that there, it doesn't want to work. And then other times, it seems to work quite fine. It does have pressure sensitivity, and it does have palm rejection. But I find that this stylus performance, as you can see now, it is really not that good. I find that you have to press quite hard in order for it to work. And now again, there it doesn't want to work. No, okay, now it's going to draw a line. Very random at times. Sometimes it works well, other times it doesn't seem to work that well for me. So I wouldn't be buying this tablet here for the stylus. So first game up here I'm going to test is Asphalt Extreme. Now because it's running at the desktop resolution, so 1920 by 1200, I'm not really too sure if this is going to give us playable frame rates. I'm already seeing some stutter. Oh, that frame rate is dropping down. It's a little slow, so you might want to lower the desktop resolution down to something a little bit more manageable. Something like 1280 times 800 I think would run a lot better than the native screen resolution here. So here in League of Legends, I'm playing a game against bots like I always do. Summoner's Rift map, again like I always do. And you see here around 53 frames per second. It's in the top right hand corner there. Now what I did forget to do was actually add a bot on my own team. So there's one bot less. This could account to slightly better frames per second. Slightly more frames. But that's not doing too bad. 720p, lowest settings by the way. So look at Counter-Strike Global Offensive here. And you see that frame rate around 29 frames per second. Down to 13, 15. That's hopeless. This is not playable at all. And of course I'm going to die every 2 seconds. That's normal for me. So let's have a look at those temperatures. Okay, so here we go. Temperatures, it's gotten up to 83 degrees we can see. And that is in 33 minutes of gaming. And it hasn't gone past that. No thermal throttling. That is quite hot, but that is actually okay for this chipset. Because they do get quite warm. They do get into lower 80s. As long as it doesn't thermal throttle, that is perfectly fine. Okay guys, so that's my review there of the Pipo W1 Pro. So just to cover the positives of the tablet, it's got a nice screen. The price isn't too bad considering it's including the keyboard and the stylus. The RAM runs at 1600 MHz. The Type-C port also works at full USB 3 speeds. And it will power external hard drives just like the 2 ports on the dock. Other positives include the camera. It is running 720p, 30 frames per second. Quality seems alright on the front. The rear camera is not that good at all either. But for Skype video chat, the camera is fine. Now, another one of the pros, I would say, their keyboard to type on is actually okay, but the touchpad isn't that good. The biggest con of all has to be the battery, only around 4.5 hours to 5 hours of runtime. And then that stylus. The stylus either wants to work or doesn't want to work. As you saw in my quick demonstration, it just sometimes doesn't register at all, which is really disappointing. Even if they include the stylus, it should still work well. Now, I don't believe it's because I've got the screen protector on still. That isn't the issue because I've left it on with other tablets and it still works well. I just think it could be my unit. Not too sure, but not really that good. So thank you so much for watching this review here of the Pipo W1 Pro, and I hope to catch you back in the channel soon. If you haven't already, why not think about subscribing, and see you soon.